Good day, folks. This is Chris McCraw, Mercury, with a Venus Project update of the day, making the Venus Project a reality, building the transition cities of the Venus Project. We have been presented with a unique opportunity to help build the first transition cities of the Venus Project in Louisiana, USA, in order to showcase what is possible to the world. Before we decide to move forward with this endeavor, I want each of you to carefully consider the implications, risks, and concerns and assist in the creation of the business proposal for the transitional cities. This proposal will entail obtaining a grant, monies donated, which are currently available to be used in Louisiana to help create 3,000 to 5,000 jobs in the Delta area. The grant is for $10 billion and will be utilized to build multiple cities, approximately 10, which can house 30,000 to 50,000 people per city, half a million in total in Louisiana connected by maglev trains. 50% of the residencies will be sold, and the other 50%, quarter million residents, will be available for occupancy. My suggestion is that half available occupancy to be granted first option to the members of the cause and all supporters of the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist movement, with the remaining occupancies being available as a lottery. These residencies would be deed restricted in order to prevent future sales and or lease. The proceeds of the sale will be utilized to create larger Venus Project cities, which will be able to house 500,000 to 1,000,000 people. Some of the advantages of building a showcase Venus Project City will be to help spread awareness, perfect the construction techniques using assemblers, which once built will build additional cities using less resources and create the funding to completely transition to a resource-based society. The disadvantages include creation of 3,000 to 5,000 jobs, slaves. Please consider this carefully as I look forward to your input. While I believe this could provide the means of redesigning our society, I will need your eyes to ensure it is not misused. An alternative to this would be to continue our efforts to raise the resources necessary to build a true free city, which I am also exploring. Sincerely, Johnny Freedom. Okay. Well, Johnny, I hope what you're really exploring is to actually do it. Um, it is true that we must try to build the first charter city or pilot city, but that is not building the whole a whole large infrastructure is one thing. I think we really need to figure out how we can do this on a smaller scale where we're not reliant upon a benefactor or a government to grant us money and then attach stipulations to that money, so that we would have to create 5,000 slaves, as your objection is. Um, the thing with most rehabilitation or re-improvement or whatever monies that people get, these things are usually tied in, with the corporate elite and the banking interests. So trying to get a hold of this kind of money for this type of use would be, I think, would be difficult at this time, especially when we don't have a working model, a smaller model. We have to do a resource-based village. Then we need to do a resource-based town. Then, and we progress up from that. and the success at the smaller level, the success of the Venus Project villages uh, breed the resources needed to build uh, Venus Project towns, and then eventually, once there's enough towns and resources gathered together, we then go to the next steps, which would be cities. I think just jumping right up and saying that we're going to be able to get the funding and resources to build the city right off the bat is, I mean, is going to be difficult. Like I said, we're going to have to learn how we can retrofit. We got to first think about how we can retrofit what we already got. I understand Jacques' uh, rationale that, you know, it's easier to rebuild something new than to try to deal with something that is imperfect. But the fact is that we live in a monetized society right now, and we have to gain those. We have to gain that. We have to gain access to those resources first, and we got to do this voluntarily. That's another important point. We can't go to the government and get this as part of the collectivism, which is actually ruining the world. So we would want to do this as on a voluntary basis, on a contributory basis, and and there would be no ownership. For instance, if you contributed resources to the Venus Project, it would buy you nothing more than maybe becoming part of the community, which would maybe be no better than if you donated your labor as an expert to further the project in some way. Because that's the inequality with trying to sell these things for a monetary uh, goal will probably come into a I think that might be a problem if you have people that are paying money on one side, living next to people that just won it in a lottery, you know. Now I understand the concepts and everything, but like I said, we don't have this the smaller community, because you're going to have to start this out smaller and grow it. You're just not going to be able to boom, perfect society. We're going to have to transition from what we have, and if we can obtain land, and that's the key thing is land. If we can get land, we can get donated materials, labor, and any other kind of resources we need to get the project rolling. So if the key is to get title to some land that we're going to be able to hold and start the project. And I know with me working with my intentional community, Happy Camp Republic, I want to have a resource based economy, but I'm looking at the resources on the land that I'm actually going to acquire, and the people that are going to live on that land, and what we're going to do with it, as being the monetization means of getting the land. So the people that would participate in the project, they would get the benefits of membership of the community, but there would be no necessarily any ownership rights, because just because you have a place to live and such, you wouldn't necessarily that wouldn't necessarily grant you title. It, and if you weren't using it, uh, that resource should be diverted to somebody else in the community, regardless of any monetary consideration. and put to better use. I mean, that's what the whole resource-based economy is about. Putting the resource in the place that's needed at the time it's needed, and not overproducing too much, because there are things that we can communally own and use, but other things are better as private property. And I don't believe that our dwelling necessarily has to be a private property item, because this is an intrinsic need of all human beings. And I don't think that we should have to struggle or be concerned with obtaining those basic necessities of life. And that is the main ideal behind the Venus Project. So, I know we have to be innovative in trying to uh, materialize and manifest this kind of community, because it is so contrary to what society and the banking interests and the power elite want for us. Uh, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to rely upon that power structure as a means of support or a means of being able to get started. So, like I said, I think the real route is to start on a much smaller basis to get that Venus Project town going, or I should say village, which would just be a couple dozen families. We get that resource-based economy going, and once we have that successful model going, and then we try to upsize it, upscale it, because if it is a sustainable system, then it should produce um, enough resources that we can expand it, and it shouldn't require anyone to really put up any money. It should only require your decision to participate and your participation. Those are the only things that should be required to derive any kind of benefit from the resource based economy. So this notion that you have to be some kind of supporter or something like that. The world's full of supporters. It's just they just don't know about it, or they're unwilling to do these things because they have to get a monetary compensation for their time or resources. So we got to get over that cliff first. That we can do these things freely, and without expectation of anything else other than hopefully that if we did get some property and it was able to establish itself as a community, that the community would be able to persist. Um, you know, but anyway, these are just some ideas to consider, and a very serious matter of getting started with a Venus Project community that I'm sure everyone in the world would like to see happen at least some level, and see it manifest and get started. Please click the link below and visit the cause's website, and sign up for the cause, and as well, or visiting the Venus Project website and finding out more about the Venus Project, and or donating your joining the database like I have, and donating your labor and expertise to the project when the project gets to the point where your expertise may be needed. Thank you very much. Have a grand day, and